we're talking about are the four stages through which we evolve as we grow up, as we become wiser, as we learn what we are and not just who we are, learn what it means in the context of the world, the cosmos, the universe, to be a human being. What is that all about? It means we need to be aware not only of what's around us materially, but also what is and who surrounds us spiritually. We're both physical and spiritual while we're in this lifetime. And we all share whatever tradition we belong to. We all share what it means to be a human being. And as human beings, none of us is more powerful than any other. We are all powerful beings. I'm sure that you all can think of somebody that you've met in your life who made you feel wonderful or who made you feel crushed by what they said or how they looked at you or what they did, right? Raise your hand if you can't think of anybody in your life who has provoked one of those feelings. That's you. Everybody has those feelings. And so this is basically how we all learn to deal with these feelings. And there are people who all their lives, they expect that other people are going to victimize them. And so other people victimize them constantly. And they live their lives as victims. It's just the way it is. They don't feel that they can do anything about what anybody does to them. And then there are people who are, they learn as they go along. They learn how to succeed materially. They become victors. And the question is, do they stay in this physical concept of victor? Do they stay in a place where they refuse to look at concepts, moral concepts, what's right? What's the right way to be with others? What's the right way to treat others? What's the right way to listen to others? What are we supposed to be doing while we're here? Is it all about having pleasure for ourselves? Is there another aspect to being in this world? Is there also a responsibility, like Iman was talking about, or Renato, I guess, was talking about, um, to think seriously about, okay, what is the whole picture here? What is the spiritual picture saying to us? And what is our responsibility as human beings in that spiritual dimension? And it doesn't matter what culture we're using as a framework. When we realize that we can also become aware as spiritual beings and make life better for those around us. That's a higher level of awareness, of behavior, and of happiness. And that's true universally for all human beings. And finally, do we allow ourselves to get to the highest spiritual awareness, in which we begin to realize that who we are as human beings, as individuals, isn't really all that important. That the more we say yes to being part of the bigger morality, of the bigger spiritual power, that's really where we find immense joy in our lives. We see these things, the next stage of development, little bitty glimpses that happen for a minute or two, and they go away again. But if we keep looking for the next higher dimension, we will find, as we grow older and wiser, that there's a lot of joy, just plain joy in being alive, as we devote ourselves to making things better for other people. Any comments on any of that?
No,
Does any of
all
that
good.
sound okay, Renato? Does any of that ring a bell with you?
Yes, I think I am in the second stage of my life,
All
Laura,
right,
now.
good.
I passed through the first one as a victim, as I told before, when my life was playing at the church and I wasn't feeling happy because I was being forced to follow some things that I didn't believe. And then I victimized myself. I let them victimize myself,
Right.
And when I accepted that all of this was my responsibility, I talked to them and I make the choice. And I feel now I'm the second stage, which is that I said no to any pressure from outside, and instead I am selecting experience I desire.
Wonderful. Yeah, and you feel better, right?
Much better.
Guess
Much
what?
better.
When you move into the next stage, you're going to feel even better still, believe it or not. Have you had any moments of thinking about channeling wisdom and love from a higher dimension?
Yes, but I'm still
Okay.
developing. I'm still in development. I'm
We're
just
going to be in we're going to be in development all our lives, all of us.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. I
But yeah,
am more
when you get those
open-minded.
hints, right? When you
I
get
think
those hints, you
yeah, I
think,
think
oh,
the first thing I can tell you, doctor, is the open-minded. When you are open-minded, so you started to go to the stage 3.
yep. And you don't get there all the time, it happens and then you go back. So there's two things. There's the one-time experience of a stage or a step where you're not yet all the time. And then there's a, a, a beingness where you're kind of steady at one stage. And then you're ready to move toward the next stage. And each time life gets better and better as you move through this process. And I find that to a great extent, it's a question of age and experience that people start really getting serious about stage 3 when they're in their 40s, 50s. You know, it's an older stage of life, but it happens and you get fascinated with it and you get really want to move up. It'll happen. So knowing that there are these stages is helpful. So when it starts to happen, when you start to become interested in that, you recognize, oh, good, this is the next stage that I'm entering. It's really interesting to see how, as people get older and more experienced, they start to realize about the next stage. So the next stage is being aware most of the time that, oh, there's this other higher part of me that where my purpose is to make the world a better place, not only for me, but for anybody who can benefit. And you will start to feel that as you get out of school, as you move ahead in your work, in your living, you begin to think about that. And at each point, you can always choose. Yeah, I want to get into that higher awareness where I can feel fulfilled because I know I'm making the world better for somebody else, as opposed to just wanting to make yourself good. And, you know, the next stage, making the world a better place for others, it can involve plants, it can involve animals, it can involve people who are your family members or who appear very different from the way you appear. Doesn't matter. It's just a less self-focused way of thinking. Anyone else want to say something about this?
Yes.
Could I say something, ma'am?
You don't have to. So we're all learning. We're all
All right.
having new experiences. The climate crisis that is challenging people who live everywhere on the earth is a result of humans acting as victims, as not being able to change all the emergencies that are going on, the floods and the storms and the heat or the cold. As human beings, we can continue to just say, oh, gee, this is awful. We can't do anything about it. But there are some humans who are saying, okay, what can we do that will help this situation? And there's all kinds of ideas. I just came back from Paris, where they are working very hard to create a city where things grow, so that it's not anymore a landscape of pavement and cement buildings, that every place, what this guy sees in the city is a green place with growing plants. They're doing this as, okay, this is how we are going to help to reduce the increase in temperatures that the world is experiencing. And that seems to be causing harsh weather. That's one response. It's a fairly evolved response. It's a high level response. It's not the only possible response. But the more people on the earth who are taking responsibility for helping to reduce the increase of temperatures on our planet, the more people are thinking about not just themselves, not just their country, but the universe, the whole of creation. There's lots of different possible ways. And some of them are brilliant and effective. What's your possible way of helping? It's something that we all need to work on. So there's two areas in our brains that we need to connect between each other. There's our memory and our belief about who we are and what we want. That's, we call people in psychology call that our conscious awareness, what we know that we know, what we know that we believe. And that is about 1/10 of what our mind tells us. The other 9/10 comes from the part of a working brain that we call the unconscious. Conscious and unconscious. Who can tell me very simply what's the difference between conscious awareness and unconsciousness? Where did you get all the beliefs that you have about what's important in life? Did somebody teach you when you were small, when you were a kid, a little kid? Anybody?
Okay.
We're not.
So go ahead. Go ahead. I
Professor,
think
Professor, I want to say, Professor.
someone wants to talk. Go ahead. I have to back to work, so I will be just listen to you guys. Thank you so much. Okay.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you very
thank you
much.
so much,
I hope
brother.
you come
Take
back.
care and have a nice day. Okay.
Thank you
Yes.
so much. I'll be
Have a
here
great
just
day.
to listen to you guys. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Kazi, were you going to say something about
Yeah,
when you learned all
obviously,
this stuff?
Professor, I want to say that conscious awareness and unconscious awareness that we want to say about it. It is quite important to follow the conscious awareness is that when a person is facing some problems or difficulties or in a negativity, then we should follow the conscious awareness. And it is quite essential for a person to follow the conscious awareness because awareness and conscious, these two words are quite different to each other, but the main fact is that if we connect these two words in a pair word, and if we follow this word, the conscious awareness, and it is a conscious awareness is that uh, the positive sense, and if we look around this world in a positive sense, then we can say that it is a very has a very positivity, and wherever it has a positivity and conscious, we should be conscious as like that. But for an example, I am walking in the street, so I have to be conscious about myself that to follow the rules and terms and conditions of the street, so that the traffic police will not harm me, or any types of people will not attack me. This is the number one condition. The number two condition is that we should be on our own way, and if I walk in the street, I should follow the terms and conditions of the roads and highways, so that I can be able to follow the constructions and I can follow the instructions of the roads and highways. So it is the main conscious, and awareness is that we should be aware we should be aware of having some accidents or impossibilities and others, whether a person is able to do some when a person is able to do take some accident, so it is quite bad for him, and or for the person to face some accident. So he or she have to be aware of these types of situations, and whenever a person will able to aware of these types of situation, then he or she able to will be able to conscious, and awareness will be grow and will be develop in his or her mind. This is the conscious awareness, and unconscious awareness is quite is the opposite of conscious awareness. And unconscious is that it is not like that it is negative, but it is a moral negative. So we know that what is the meaning of immorality, what is the meaning of moral and immoral. Immoral is a negative word and moral is a positive word, and amoral is also negative word, but it is the anti-negative word. It is not so like that, it is a negative word. So amoral, we can say that the person has plus and minus both sides. The person has plus minus both sides, but the moral person has only the plus side, but not the negative side, not the minus side. But the person who is quite immoral, then and it is an unethical person. An unethical person has the negative sides, but the amoral person has both the plus and minus side, or positive and negative sides. So unconscious awareness is like that, plus and minus sides, positive and negative sides. So it is the differences between conscious awareness and unconscious awareness. Thank you, Professor.
Okay, thank you. There's a little bit more to the conscious and unconscious than what you were talking about. I think all of us in our families, yes, we learn about morality, we learn about what's right and what's not right, but we all also learn about how adults see us. What do they think about us? What do they tell us about ourselves? So, there are all kinds of messages that we get about ourselves. We were kind of aware of the things that we were taught about the world around us. But what we learned about ourselves is often unconscious. We're not aware of it as we grow up. It still influences how we act. So for instance, one of the many messages that I got as a small child was that I should just keep quiet and do what I'm told and not have my own ideas. That was wrong to have my own ideas and to speak up about them. And it's taken me years as a grown-up to move beyond that unconscious learning that I didn't have anything to say that anyone would want to listen to. So I stayed a victim for a very long time because I learned unconsciously as a child that I didn't have the right to speak. So that was part of my unconscious awareness. And as I've gotten older, I've had to realize, oh, gee, why am I acting like that? Where does that come from? It's in my unconscious. It's something I learned as a little child. Not that somebody consciously taught me that, but that's the way they responded to me. That's what they wanted from me, was I should be quiet and have no original ideas. Well, that wasn't who I was. It didn't work. They were very unhappy with me. And so I left. I didn't want to continue being a victim, but it took me a long time to realize that, oh, wait a minute, I need to stop behaving according to that unconscious teaching. I need to take my power. I need to stand up in it. That was the learning. And all the stuff in my unconscious had to move little by little into my conscious awareness as I observed myself and asked, why am I doing it that way? Why am I responding that way? That doesn't make any sense. It's because of all the stuff that's in my subconscious that I'm not aware of. And there's still things coming up for me. You know, it's a lifelong process to become aware of those hidden messages in our childhood education. I thought this statement was really interesting. The subconscious is always responding to the present moment, applying our early childhood experiences, conclusions, so that they control most of our behavior. So we need to become aware of those unconscious messages that control how we act and how we appear to people. We need to learn how to respond to the present moment based on our vision of life, the kind of life we want to create. And if what's happening to us in our victimhood makes us unhappy, it's not what we want to continue. We want to change that. So basically, most people start by moving out of feeling like a victim so that we begin to create a life that at least sometimes makes us feel happy. And then we need to understand that there is a higher dimension, not only in physical altitude like this, but in awareness of the power that we don't understand, power that's bigger than all of us, becoming more conscious and more responsive to that higher power. So, two things. Becoming conscious of what we learned unconsciously as little kids, and becoming conscious that life isn't all about just making ourselves happy, that there is a higher dimension and higher power. And as Imran, or as Renato shared with us, that, yeah, you get happier as you move into these higher states of awareness. So this is just an opportunity to become aware of what's possible for us, so that, when we don't feel satisfied with what's happening in our lives, we have an idea where we need to look and what we need to accomplish. Find greater happiness and greater fulfillment and satisfaction throughout our whole lives. When we feel bad about what's going on, we can change and create better outcomes. But it means we have to change. So that's everything that I wanted to say today.